Hey friends, welcome back to MindFuel Zone. I'm Arkham, and today's story might surprise you. Imagine spending your entire life creating something beautiful, pouring your heart into every single piece of work, and almost nobody noticing. Imagine dying broke, believing you were a total failure, and then, years after you're gone, the whole world falls in love with what you made. That's exactly what happened to a man named Vincent van Gogh. Today, his paintings sell for hundreds of millions of dollars. But while he was alive, he sold only one. Let's talk about his story. A restless young man. Vincent was born in 1853 in a small village in the Netherlands. His father was a church minister, a quiet and serious man. Vincent, on the other hand, was intense from a young age. He felt things deeply. Joy, sadness, anger, all of it hit him harder than most people. As a young man, Vincent tried several jobs. He worked at an art dealing company, selling other people's paintings. He tried becoming a teacher. He even tried becoming a preacher, like his father, working with poor coal miners in a rough part of Belgium. He gave away his own clothes and food to the miners because he felt so much sympathy for their suffering. But none of these jobs really fit him. He kept getting fired, or quitting, or feeling like he didn't belong. His family worried about him constantly. By his late 20s, Vincent felt lost, like he hadn't found his real purpose in life yet. Then, almost by accident, he picked up a pencil and started drawing, finding his voice through color. Vincent was already 27 years old when he decided to become a full-time artist. That's actually quite late to start, especially for someone who would go on to become this famous. Most great painters started training as children. Vincent basically taught himself, using books, copying other artists' work, and practicing constantly. His younger brother Theo worked as an art dealer in Paris. Theo believed in Vincent's talent from the very beginning, even when nobody else did. For the rest of Vincent's life, Theo sent him money every single month so Vincent could afford paint, canvas, and food. Without Theo, Vincent's story might have ended much earlier. In his letters to Theo, and there are hundreds of these letters still preserved today, Vincent talked about color like it was alive. He believed colors could show feelings that words couldn't. Bright yellow could feel like hope. Deep blue could feel like sadness. He wasn't just painting what he saw. He was painting what he felt. Moving to the south of France, in 1888, Vincent moved to a small town in the south of France called Arles. He rented a little house, painted yellow on the outside, which he proudly called his yellow house. He dreamed of starting an artist community there, a place where painters could live and create together. This period became one of the most productive times of his entire life. The bright sunlight, golden wheat fields, and blooming sunflowers of southern France seemed to unlock something inside him. He painted almost every single day, sometimes finishing an entire painting in just a few hours. In this short time, he created some of his most famous works, including his series of sunflower paintings. He invited his artist friend, Paul Gauguin, to come live and paint with him in the Yellow House. At first, Vincent was thrilled. He finally had another painter to talk to, argue with, and learn from. But the friendship quickly grew tense. The two men had very different personalities and different ideas about art. They argued constantly. A painful breaking point. One night in December 1888, after another heated argument with Gauguin, something inside Vincent broke. In a moment of extreme distress, he hurt himself severely, cutting part of his own ear. He wrapped it up, carried it to a woman he knew, and then collapsed. He was rushed to a hospital, barely alive. This wasn't just one bad night. It was a sign of a much deeper struggle. Vincent had been dealing with intense mental health struggles for years, periods of extreme highs followed by crushing lows. Back then, doctors didn't understand these conditions the way we do today. There was no proper treatment, no real support system for what he was going through. After this incident, Vincent eventually chose to enter a mental hospital himself, hoping it would help him heal. And in a strange twist, this difficult period became another burst of powerful creativity. From his hospital room, looking out his window at night, he painted one of the most famous paintings in human history, a swirling, dreamlike sky full of stars, moving clouds, and a glowing crescent moon above a quiet, sleeping village, a life cut short. In 1890, after leaving the hospital, Vincent moved to a small town just outside Paris, so he could be closer to Theo and a doctor who was helping care for him. For a couple of months, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, things were getting a little better. He kept painting almost every day, fields of wheat, portraits, gardens. But on July 27, 1890, Vincent went out into a wheat field and shot himself. He didn't die immediately. He managed to walk back to the inn where he was staying. Theo rushed to be by his side. 2 days later, on July 29th, Vincent passed away, with his brother right there beside him. He was only 37 years old. In his short 10-year painting career, Vincent had created around 900 paintings and over 1,000 drawings. But during his entire lifetime, historians believe he sold only a single painting. A legacy he never saw. Here's the part of this story that always leaves me speechless. Just months after Vincent's death, something started to shift. People began to notice his work. Art dealers, critics, other painters, they started talking about him, exhibiting his paintings, writing about his unique, emotional style. Theo passed away just 6 months after his brother, from illness and grief. But Theo's wife, Johanna, believed deeply in Vincent's talent. She spent years organizing his paintings, translating his letters, and pushing to get his work shown to the world. Without her quiet dedication, we might never have known Vincent van Gogh's name today. Slowly, across the following decades, Vincent went from being an unknown, struggling painter to being recognized as one of the greatest artists who ever lived. Today, his paintings hang in the world's biggest museums. People travel from every corner of the globe just to stand in front of his work for a few quiet minutes. Some of his paintings have sold for over $100 million. Why we still remember him. So why does Vincent van Gogh's story still touch people over 100 years later? Because his art wasn't about perfection. It was about honesty. He painted exactly what he felt inside, even when that feeling was pain, loneliness, or confusion. He never got to see how deeply his work would move the world. He never got to hear people say his name with such admiration and respect. His story reminds us that sometimes the value of what we create isn't recognized right away. Sometimes it takes time, patience, and people who believe in us, even during our darkest days. That's the story of Vincent van Gogh, a man who saw beauty and pain in the world like nobody else, and gave every last piece of himself to show it to us, even when the world wasn't ready to look. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe to MindFuel Zone for more powerful stories like this one. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And whose story should we tell next? Thanks so much for being here with me. See you in the next story. Take care, friends.